Cutler. I'm the co-producer of the new feature film Pig, written and directed by Henry Barriel, produced by myself and Mark Stolaroff, and starring Rudolph Martin and Heather Ankeny and other excellent actors. I'm a relative newcomer to the film, only the last few years, but Mark and Henry had produced, had worked on and done 2 other films, and the story of Pig starts sort of apocryphally like this. Mark and Henry were traveling to a festival accompanying one of their other films, and Henry had mentioned to Mark that he'd read a story about a guy who had been kidnapped, rendered by some secret organization, probably the CIA, and dropped in the middle of a desert in Albania, and had no idea where he was and how to get out. And that kind of scenario stayed with him for some time, but in the interim he'd been reading about and become quite interested in the writing and work of Ray Kurzweil, the erstwhile inventor and futurist who wrote quite a few books and is responsible for the idea of this thing called the singularity. I'm not sure that Kurzweil originated that term, but he did develop it, and he's responsible for predicting that in the not too distant future, the organic and the inorganic would merge, would meld into you know, one kind of creature, and pretty soon, you know, man and machine would come together, and this would be a good thing for humanity. So he's actually sort of, some would probably see it as dystopic, but he sees it as a real positive development for the future of humanity. Places a lot of hope and expectation, faith in technology, and sort of inevitable. You know, he predicts that really we don't have really that much control over the growth of technology, because it just sort of naturally, and you know, and by virtue of the laws of physics, it expands geometrically. So it's something we don't have a lot of control over. So anyway, Henry had been thinking about that, and he'd been thinking about this idea about rendition and not knowing who you are, and being completely, having a completely blank slate with a totally open-ended possibility of a future. Yeah, so they decided to just go ahead and make the movie. And Henry wrote the script and went through some drafts, and then I was recruited, and the story of my becoming co-producer is kind of an interesting one, and fairly emblematic of the way independent films like Pig get made these days. I had been, many years ago, I had been a film executive, a film lawyer, and a sometime producer myself, and but then I changed careers. I became a school teacher. And so for most of the last 20 years, I'd been teaching history to middle and high school students. But I never really lost my, you know, my love of film, and you know, had been hankering for a long time to get back into it. So I happened to stumble on an ad inviting people to come and interview for internships on a new feature film that was being made by Henry Barriel and Mark Stolaroff, and I went along, really only hoping to learn about how things had changed in filmmaking. Really, just it was an education to sort of hang around on the sidelines and learn, you know, what was new. And in very short order, lo and behold, I graduated from intern to co-producer. So I was involved in developing further drafts of the script, and you know, many of my ideas I'm very pleased to say and proud of have worked their way into the film. So it was a full creative and business collaboration between the three of us. We're pursuing what is generally known these days as a hybrid distribution plan. I mean, we would be quite happy if somebody was to offer us a very lucrative deal, and but much more importantly, committed to putting the film in theaters, because more than anything, we want people to see it. But it's the lot of most independent production these days that it makes more sense to produce the distribution as much as it is to produce the movie. So your job is not over when the film is over. You have to spend a lot of time mining and creating community with your audiences, and basically find the people who connect with your movie and get it to them. Work with them, and communities of fans are the ones who are going to make the difference to the success of most independent films now.